again with our calculations and guesswork. But you would think, looking at the way the first phase played out, that 15 wins in total would be enough to get you through to Monday's final day. And that means that Joshua Filler probably only needs 2 more.
Well, we told you it was going to be quicker. How about that? You can't get any quicker than the first rack. It is a golden break. The 9-ball in. Simply extraordinary. What a contrast to so many of the racks involving Sanchez, Ruiz and David Al-Kadi. There's the 9-ball squirting into the top right-hand pocket.
Yeah, not the first time this week we've seen someone produce a golden break with the first shot. Shane Van Boening did it. We must be up about 12, 13 golden breaks already in the tournament.
Absolutely. Now, over on table 2, we're coming to the conclusion over there. And I can tell you, Skylar Woodward has just overcut the 6-ball. Let's pop in. Can Shaw redeem himself? Remember, he was 4-1 up. It looked as though the result was slipping away. But the 6 has made all the difference.
Yeah, Woodward looking for his 6th win in a row here. Won all 4 yesterday. He's already had a victory over his compatriot Shane Van Boening today. He's won more matches since yesterday morning. If he was to turn this round, than he had in the whole tournament up until then. But the chance looks to be gone now. Jason Shaw off to a winning start in the second phase, and he moves on now to a total of 11 points after 16 matches.
Rack number 2, our current score is 1-0 in favor of Mr. Sanchez.
When we analyse this phase 2 at the end, that could be a massive outcome. Oh my God. Says Joshua Filler. Terrible. I think he's talking about the rack. What other explanation is there? Come on, he says.
Yeah, it sounded like a cry of complaint rather than self-criticism. So I think you're on the money there. And what a chance this is, by the way. Look at the way these have finished.
Golden break in the first rack. Now a near road map in the second.
Just returning briefly to that match we were looking at a minute ago, Phil, Jason Shaw and Skylar Woodward. Yes, Woodward has lost, but the fact that it was 5-4 and that he won so comfortably in his first of the day, you add that to the fact that he finished yesterday with a 5-0 win. He's doing his racks difference a huge amount of good when you consider he came into this phase 7th in the table, only outside the top 6 on racks difference. That's the sort of thing which could be significant come tomorrow night.
That is a really bad shot, plain and simple. He played the kiss on the 8 and he just skimmed it and went behind it. I think he was slightly overstretching, but there's still no excuse. That was a rudimentary shot that went badly wrong. And so the pain that Filler felt after breaking off to no avail, that pain is eased.
Well, given how well Filler has been playing over the first 5 days, when you're up against him and you get gifted such a good opportunity as that, Certainly is unforgivable to pass it up so easily. If you're going to have any chance of beating him, have to capitalise on any situation like that. Filler, as we've said, won 13 of his 15 matches in the first phase. 5 of those were hill-hill finishes, and one of those was against Sanchez Ruiz. Combination perhaps to finish.
Lots of distance between the two balls. I'm not surprised he ducked that one. Not surprised at all.
Yeah, didn't even spend long studying it. Sure, he'll have given it brief consideration, but the fact that it was so brief underlines the level of difficulty there was in that shot.
The kiss on the 8 was pretty important for the 6. And he's played a good shot there, the Spaniard.
Extension, please.
Well, the jump, length of the table double, but he's back hooked, this time on the 7. You've got to be kidding me. Don't know whether either shot was the best of the tournament so far, but they're the best 2 consecutive shots we've seen.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But they came to nothing. Everything going right for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz this morning. Even though he's not setting the world alight with the standard of his pool, he's getting the racks on the board, Michael.
Yeah, not quite job done here. It's a thin cut this on the 8, so just got to mind his work in terms of getting on the 9. It's a rare day, isn't it, when you make an elementary error like Sanchez Ruiz did earlier in the rack against Joshua Filler and get let off the hook. But it may well be the case here. We've seen easier balls than this missed on many occasions this week, though.
Yes, and the fact remains he has been moving on shots so far in this session. That was right into the heart of the pocket. It was a windy rack that. It went one way then the other. In the end, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz doubles his lead. The table topper, Joshua Filler, is in a spot of bother. Now, here for you, in both senses of the word, is a little filler.
13 matches, I think, feeling good in race to 5. Anything could be happen. I mean, I'm glad, of course, that I'm on top of the group, but actually my goal is just to go through and qualify for the final stage as well. I think in the first matches I was kind of struggling, and then in between made some mistakes. But when you play like 50 matches, you can't play every match perfect. So I think still the break could be better, but sometimes you have no influence how. I mean, I don't want to blame a referee, you know, but sometimes you get a loose rack, and then you can't make a ball, and then it's obviously not my fault. So, but you just need to give 110% also on the break and hope that the rake is tight enough, or you make a ball and have a shot after. Now there's no reason to be more relaxed, because in the race to 5, playing Jason, Shane, Albin, if I lose to those guys, I could also lose if my break doesn't work 5-1, 5-2, which just takes my big lead maybe. So I need to give 110% more to be there, to be in the lead still. So that's my goal.
Of course, that interview was done before
Number 3.
this phase began, and it was rather prescient because he was talking about malfunctioning break,
In favor of Mr. Sanchez.
saying he wasn't blaming the referees, but sometimes they aren't racked properly, and I think he fell victim to that in rack 2.
Yeah, just listening to that interview, it's underlined for me once again, just with some of the way he was talking, how Filler really typifies the new breed of pool professional. And they are so professional in their approach and their thinking and their preparation and the lifestyle that they all try to live. The likes of himself, Albin Ocean. They know there's a really good living to be made out of the game now. And they all want their share of it.
The last man into the top 10, the last man into this phase, Mieszko Fortunski, has just taken the opening rack from Shane Van Boning.
Your option.
That's over on table 2. Van Boning has made a really slow start to the morning. Another one of these scruffy racks, Michael.
Yeah. It is amazing how often you get this, where once you get a few of them, you tend to get a lot of them. Very often there's no particular reason for it. Do have to bear in mind the table has been reclothed overnight. There's no suggestion at all that's been done anything less than 100%, but you know yourself the vagaries of just the conditions and what might be in the air can react a certain way with a new cloth. May have nothing to do with that, of course, but just something to bear in mind. Filler's wife, Pia, is with him, and of course she's a very good player herself. I think she's been spending more time on the practice tables the last couple of days than any of the players actually involved in the tournament.
It's a foul. Ball in hand.
But that's a bit of a disaster for Filler.
Start the clock, please.
Simple one to start. 2 over the pocket, 3 over the pocket. Just the 6 and the 9 being a bit tied up together. Looks like the only equation here. And he's taken the opportunity to split them. He could afford to focus on that to a certain extent. The pot was easy. He was pretty much certain to be on the 3. Still a bit of work to do here to get back for the 4. If he manages to negotiate that, should be 3-0.
It was such an impossible shot that there was no ambition to do it whatsoever.
Extension, please.
One of those mornings when nothing is coming easy, with the obvious exception of the golden break in rack 1. That really was well played. What a billiard. 4-9. And the table-topping Joshua Filler suddenly finds himself in a heap of trouble. Could it be a double victory for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz? Well, he's well on the way. He leads 3-0. Joshua Filler needs to get going right now.
Mr. Filler to break.
That 9 ball keeps coming towards the top cushion. Okay, balls went in there. But look at the 1. Just thinking, Michael, in a couple of weeks' time, as the 4 nestles in to the 9, a couple of weeks' time it will be the European Pool Championships in Lasko in Slovenia. So many different divisions, men's, women's, wheelchair pool, juniors, all that kind of stuff. 8, 9, 10 ball played. Team events as well. It's a real festival. And these two, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz and Joshua Filler, met in the final of the European 9-ball Championship in 2016. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz ran out a very comprehensive 9-3 winner. But of course, these days, Filler is far more experienced, far more potent. Oh, but there's nothing anyone can do about that.
Yeah, Filler has won the European Championship 9-ball gold since then. And you're absolutely right. There's just so much opportunity for players, all the different divisions there. It showcases the international appeal of pool as well. There's always such a mix of nationalities among the medals.
Yeah, I actually forgot the straight pool divisions as well, but it's one event after the next, a real marathon of the mind, as Clive Everton always says about the World Snooker Championship. Now look at this rack here. Looks as though someone's just got the set of balls and thrown them on the table.
That was Pia Filler in the background there, who I was mentioning a few minutes ago. I think Francisco Sanchez Ruiz might want to throw his cue on the table after the way that one's finished.
Well, even if the 4-9 combination is on, how do you access it, given the situation of the 6 and the 7?
Shane Van Boning now 2-1 up on Mieszko Fortunski.
Well, he's opened up the balls, but in so doing, that combination has been knocked off.
Yeah, it was a great effort, wasn't it? He always feels there's a way.
Extension, please.
If there's any possibility at all of pulling off a certain pot or a spectacular positional maneuver, tends to put himself up for the challenge.
And challenge is a good word for escaping this snooker. The right-hand side cushion is blocked off by the 9-ball. Coming off the left-hand side cushion, obviously the 6 has to be avoided. But that's the easier of the two options. He was on a hiding to nothing there, Sanchez Ruiz. And it's going to be exactly the same again.
If you want to see an exhibition of the other side of pool, the tactical side, this has certainly been the morning for you. Had more than our share of it across the first match and a half. The nature of how they've played out.
Well, he got the 9 in motion there. But Filler is such an accurate potter. There is room for the 4 to squeeze by the 9. So this should be his first rack of the day if the 4 disappears. Filler on the board, but there's no denying Francisco Sanchez Ruiz retains a very powerful hand, because in rack 5 in a few moments' time he will get to break. So over to table 2 momentarily, where after losing the opening rack and looking a little disjanted actually, sitting in his chair, things are more rosy for Shane Van Boning.
Yeah, we've got 2 players in action here at the moment across the 2 tables who both recovered from very poor starts to the first phase to get through. Sanchez Ruiz lost his first 3 matches on Monday, but turned things around very nicely after that. Fortunski is in this second phase, despite having lost all of his first 5. By the end of day 2, he still hadn't recorded a win, but a big part of how he turned things around It was a 5-1 victory against Shane Van Bonen on Wednesday. His most comfortable victory of that first phase.
He was under a lot of pressure last night, was Fortunski in the very last match on table 1 against Oliver Szolnocki. Came through that. So he's playing with house money, as it were. All of this is a bonus just to be here.
Wins the rack.
Well done. 3-1, Shane Van Bonen.
Rack number 5.
And perfect timing from SVB, because now
Sanchez, Ruiz.
we can go back to
Mr.
table 1 for the
Sanchez,
break-off.
Ruiz to break.
Launched himself at that. Again, this 9-ball continually is coming towards the top cushion, but this is a much better split of the balls at least. And this time the one is convenient.
You mentioned there, Phil, that Fortunski is playing with house money. Speaking of money, everyone who's made it this far is now guaranteed $4,500. Minimum you can get if you make it to the final day is $6,250. If you get past that stage, through to the knockouts on Monday night, $8,000 is the minimum, and it really goes up from there. $12,500 for the runner-up and $20,000 for the winner.
Oh dear me! Anywhere but there, stymied behind the 5-ball. That could be a real turning point, you know.
Extension, please.
Yeah, not the first time he's done something like that to himself in this match. Ultimately got away with it in rack 2.
Well, I don't think we can say got away this time, but with the cue ball being in such close proximity to the 7, fella could have been presented with an easier opening than this. Just enough to grab the attention. Okay, he's fine.
A term you use there, Phil, like so many of the terms you bring into your commentary. Stymied. It was a golfing term, and that referred to when your opponent had his ball closer to the hole than you on the green when it was your turn to putt.
Yes, it was a really old rule that's thankfully been outlawed for many a year now. It just seemed the most unfair, ludicrous thing.
Yeah, what seems even more remarkable is it was considered a legitimate tactic for some time. So the recovery continues here. Sanchez Ruiz didn't get away with self-inflicted damage this time. Filler has won 2. we thought it might be 5. But then it did become a bit clearer by round about this time yesterday. We got to a stage of thinking you'll need 7 to be comfortable. 6 may or may not get you through.
Mr. Filler to break.
In the end, that was how it turned out. We saw 2 players on 6. One of them got in and one didn't.
Filler's not a happy camper. This time the word is unbelievable.
He seems to be wanting to discuss the matter with John Lehman.
One or two really horrible breaks can be coincidence, but so many in such a condensed spell of time, that's no coincidence.
Good thing is, if a number of players speak to the promoters, feel there's an issue that needs to be addressed, Matchroom's attitude would always be, well, let's look at this, and there'd never be any question of just sweeping anything under the carpet.
Well, I think a word of thanks needs to be issued to the Matchroom staff who are so hard-working. Emily Fraser, Phoebe Miller, Matt Lynch, Jay Gaspy. When they come to a tournament, they give everything 100% and make everyone's life so much simpler, easier, more enjoyable. And when it comes to organising pool tournaments, quite simply, no one's any better.
Well, at any Q Sports event, it's always long days, and the only people who never get a break are the people organising it. Players obviously have time off between matches, referees as well. Even we get the occasional break. But if you're involved in running an event, it's first thing in the morning to last thing at night. And there are always a million things that arise over the course of the week that need to be dealt with on the spot. Never mind all the setup work that's gone in before we even start.
Which is considerable. Again, though, what a smelly rack this is. 3 close to the 5.
Mieszko Fortunski has shown real battling qualities throughout the week. He needed to get through the first phase. And he's hanging on against Shane Van Boning. He's just closed to 4-2. Fortunski, the lowest ranked player in the new world ranking system, still in the tournament.
Wanted to hide the 3 ball, and he hasn't done so. From Phil's perspective, the right edge of the 3 is sticking out. Well, the 7 goes in and doesn't do him any favours whatsoever. Now it's another skim off the 3, but of course he's taking the 3 by playing it like that, close to a pocket. So he needs cover.
Extension, please.
Extension taken to facilitate additional thinking time.
Shane Van Boning is just breaking so well. So many times he's knocking in 3 and 4 balls off the break. And he's been doing that throughout the last few days. Wasn't always getting the good fortune. But in the 7th rack against Mieszko Fortunski on the other table, he has at a simple 2. And looks like a straight run to the line now. So it seems Van Boning is going to win there, 5-2.
I did say that Filler needed cover. He's achieved it. Excellent. Oh, that wasn't excellent. It was fortunate. So fortunate.
Yeah, and less so, but still to some extent, the fact that he didn't scratch. The cue ball was flirting with the corner. Man coming to the table, Joshua Filler was the only player to win more matches in the first phase than Shane Van Boning. The American has just put a win on board in phase 2. He's closed it out at 5-2 against Mieszko Fortunski. So 1 win and 1 defeat so far today for Van Boning, and he's now just 1 point behind Filler in the table, albeit he's completed 2 matches more.
Try to sort of compress the cue ball, hold it down there with the 6, and look at the end result. I think he deserves this rack, Filler. He's played some really good shots. By the way, there will be a delay in proceedings now because the next match over on table 2 was supposed to be Joshua Filler against Mieszko Fortunski. Bear in mind, that wasn't a flaw in the scheduling, because they played 3 matches on table 2 against just 1 here on table 1.
Forward hand.
Yeah, I would expect there may be some moving around. Alban Ocean and Alexander Kazakis could find themselves over on 2. They can't bring forward the last match on 2 because Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is due to be involved in that.
And given the way things have gone in this match, there's an awful lot of pool left to be played.
Can still win this match, Sanchez Ruiz. But he was 3-0 up. He may look back in the last few racks and feel he's missed the boat a little.
Filler is known for dynamite potting and brilliant positional play. In that rack, he showed us that he's very tactically astute. Some really good safeties when the balance of fortune was going against him. So it is 3-3, all to play for after the break. The headline so far this morning at Premier League Pool, well, on table one, it's been a double dogfight. We started off with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz beating David Al-Qaedi 5-4, and now it's another very closely fought affair between Joshua Filler and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, which is 3-3. One of the very big events of the pool calendar. It really is prestigious. It's the World Pool Masters. This year, the 26th edition. It will take place from the 5th to the 8th of May in sunny Gibraltar at the Europa Sports Park. It really is a fantastic venue, that. It's right on the point. You look out over the sea where the Atlantic meets the Mediterranean. You can see North Africa in the distance. Lovely spot, great place to visit Gibraltar, and with all of the top players in the world attending, it should be a cracker.
Currently, we're tied up at 3 games.
Yeah, and some of the players from Asia who've not really featured over the last couple of years for obvious reasons will be in the field there. Starting to bring the whole pool field back together, and sometimes in the past you haven't seen all of the best players from around the world in some of the biggest events. I think we're heading towards a situation where it will become the norm that you do.
Well, he gave those a real thump. The one in the side looked like the 3 was going to be available, and then the 8. It's proved a party pooper. The 3, of course, being the relevant ball, because not just the 1, but the 2 also went down on the break.
Push out called. Mr. Filler, your option?
When you've broken off, you can take that choice, push out. It was a very simple shot from Sanchez Ruiz. You don't want to put yourself into too much trouble, but of course you don't want to make your opponent's life straightforward either. Tell you what, Michael, if Filler does win this match, I think it would give him great satisfaction, because it's not been his kind of contest.
No, absolutely not, but the way he's handled it is actually quite ominous for everyone else in the field. He's blitzed through his early matches with his usual relentless play, overpowering his opponents at times. But this, as you say, has gone a different way, and he's showing he's up to it.
Extension, please.
It's got to be concerning for those who are trying to stop his march to the title.
So Filler thought and put Sanchez Ruiz back in. The 4 and the 8 were always going to supply a wall down the spine of the table.
Extension, please.
Good contact, reliant on a little bit of fortune. Hard to tell, actually, from Filler's reaction. Has the 3 been left to the side? I think from Sanchez Ruiz's reaction, it has. So Filler's decision to put Sanchez Ruiz back in after the push out, not vindicated. I'm loath to say this after the mistakes and the moments we've had in this match, but this really should be 4-3. No quibbles.
Yeah, he's made some unexpected errors. That's been the story of the week in many respects. Well, generally then it's been unexpected balls missed. In this case it's been more a matter of positional errors. Nevertheless, he is going to be first to the hill. Filler will have the break in the next rack as he looks to equalise at 4-all, but he hasn't run out from the Yeah, nice check to have early on in the year, and when you consider that's not even half the size of some of the first prizes we will have for some of the later tournaments. And the one here is pretty substantial in itself, so it underlines what I was saying earlier. These guys have a chance to earn a very good living for themselves at the highest level these days. It's another dry one.
Yeah, not on the money with the break, Filler. There was words of exasperation early on in the match. Now he's just reduced to laughing.
Well, they're both shaking their head there for different reasons. Filler because of the break, Sanchez Ruiz because of what he's been left. Suggest it's been many a long day since Filler has had such a run of misfortune with the break in any match as he has in this one.
I think it's gone past misfortune in the two games. I think it's a theme. No problems with the break on table 2, of course. Just here.
just to confirm, the tournament director Rob Spencer has informed us that there won't be any change to the schedule. And we're speculating that maybe matches perhaps could be moved because Joshua Filler is due next on table 2. Obviously, he's still engaged here. But it's not going to be too much longer anyway before this match finishes. And when it does, he will be going over to table 2 to play Mieszko Fortunski.
Yes, the schedule not greatly put out because there's only 5 matches due on table 2 for this session anyway. So being held up, no great problem. Talk about hard-working pool. We've seen so much fluency over the last 5 days. And all of a sudden, this is the coal face.
Yeah, in the end though, whoever wins this, and indeed whoever loses it, in another way could look back either tomorrow night or maybe on Monday and reflect that the outcome of this made the difference between being around for Monday night and heading home. It never goes this way by design in pool, does it, Phil? Obviously, anyone watching in the UK or certain other parts of the world will be very familiar with snooker, and you often see players going into matches and quite clearly trying to make it go scrappy and make it difficult because it plays to their strengths. But in pool, it only ever really happens simply because of the way the balls fall.
That's right, it's not a tactical choice. And it certainly wasn't a choice there for Sanchez Ruiz to leave the 1 over the pocket. But look where the 2 is. One of those matches where when you find one solution, you require another.
Yeah, it's like a version of that arcade game, Whack-A-Mole.
Didn't even have a telling safety available. Just had to come off the 2 and contain.
Really could turn into quite a marathon for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, Phil. I mean, he's been out there already for 2 hours and 20 minutes. He's got another match to play after this, and then he'll be going over to table 2. And he's due on first on 2 in the late session. But if he's winning the matches, he won't mind one bit.
Yeah, he's going to play 6 times in total today.
I saw him having breakfast earlier with David O'Cady. I hope he had some porridge or something to see him through all that. Well, that showed the importance. If you are going to leave a chance, at least make contact so it isn't ball in hand. If it was, this would be a much easier shot for Filler.
When the exchanges have been tactical, sometimes it's hard to get your potting head back on. That was a terrific effort. But again, the ball's just refusing to cooperate. The little flick on the 3 could have been much kinder. Again, you see 3 in, but the kiss on the 4, that takes it away. He'll find something innovative though here.
Yeah, we talked earlier about the prize money on offer. Filler certainly having to earn his wages today. And that was the key shot, wasn't it? Having solved that, you would really think he's going to take it hill, having been 3-0 down.
If he's flying and he knocks those pots in, it's noteworthy. When you've been mired in safety and you can just flick the switch and do that. That's why he's one of the best in the business. Love watching him play.
Yeah, that's where all the heavy practice schedule pays off, isn't it? The ability to just switch modes like that. Ooh, you heard the cry of concern there, but should be no problem.
Well, it's not known for being hilly, Milton Keynes, but this morning it's hill, 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 hill. The first match went the distance, and now again here. We can't overemphasize how important every single point is, because at the end of tomorrow, at the end of this second phase, the 10 players still involved will be distilled down to just 6. Right now, Joshua Filler is at the top of the table, but his lead actually has been cut to a single point by Shane Van Boning. Of course, Filler does have 2 matches in hand. Jason Shaw, Albin Auschen on 11 points. They're looking good. Skylar Woodward also into double figures. But then a little further down the standings, and the guys there really do need points. The likes of Al-Kaidi, Sanchez, Ruiz and Alexander Kazakis, who's yet to play today, on 9, they've got a platform for success. But for Mieszko Fortunski and Omar Al-Shaheen, who just squeezed into the top 10 last night, on 7 and 6 points respectively, they need to get into gear.
Filler and Sanchez Ruiz have already had one deciding rack finish this week. The Spaniard lost that one, but he's got the break here.
Well, this time, much as it was against Al-Kaidi, the most important break off, the one in the decider, has worked out okay for him. I thought for a moment the 7 ball might cause an issue with hampered queuing. but that's okay. Partially hampered, but not too much. Michael Phillip must be fearing the worst, and he's not used to defeat this week. This would only be his third loss in 16 matches.
Yeah, and I would suggest it's probably going to be the most painful one. Yes, he had a lot of bad running towards the end of his match against Alban Ocean. He was well beaten, really, by Jason Shaw yesterday. But the way this has played out, the breaking difficulties, the struggles he's had to just have the little bit of good luck along the way, really feel like he's in control of things. All of those matters are really going to add up and leave him feeling particularly frustrated by this. And he's got to go straight back out and play another match against Mieszko Fortunski. I would suggest he'll spend a couple of minutes venting to someone first. And he's very mentally strong. We've seen that time and time again. Loves standing up to pressure and adversity. And he'll know that whatever's gone on, it's important for him to clear his head before he continues his campaign over on the other table.
The desired angle on the 8. Just stunning down for the 9. Put this one in the books.
How different this rack has been, Phil, to pretty much everything that's gone before.
5-4, 5-4. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz first beats David Alcade, and now he overcomes Joshua Filler by the single rack in 9. And what's more, he's remaining on table 1 to take on Alban Ocean. If he wins that,